Okay, so you're here for these clinics. You want to check them out yourself, make sure the construction
Of course
right,
I do.
and everything's going great.
We're investing, so, you know.
All in time for this ribbon cutting on October 18th.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to be there,
in
shareholders in Etobicoke. So what are we doing here? Is this just, all right, cool, ribbon cutting ceremony, everyone's there, have some fun, have some hoopla? What is this ribbon cutting signifying? What's the inflection?
Ooh, okay, so signify is a very interesting point. So it signifies like the commencement of all of this business model that we've created. It signifies the commencement of all of this delivery of care that we're talking about. It signifies that we're building this integrated healthcare model that we've always talked about. So if it wasn't tangible enough for anybody,
This is the real.
we're going to make it tangible.
This
so
is the real.
The Hamilton-Rymel location is open. It's performing. They got amazing doctors there. We're seeing patients, but we also want to celebrate, you know, bigger locations. So Brown's Line in Etobicoke sits on top of Rexall. It's a big location. Rexall has the main floor. We're going to be on the second floor. We've spent a decent amount of money. It's going to be our brand, the Medi Collective, you know, TMC.
I mean, that's just a great visual. And I'm not talking visual just because it looks nice, but if you ever had any doubts about believing it, you're seeing it now.
Yeah.
Medi Collective, Rexall, all in one.
One building.
Everybody there.
Everybody's there, so we'll have representation likely from government, local, Rexall. I know there are many shareholders who have already expressed that they want to attend. A lot of Agoracom.
Be there.
I'll be there. Investor relations will bring out Tenzin, my chief of staff on the biz dev side and sort of government relations side, and we'll make sure that we have an opportunity to just celebrate this. A little bit of pomp and circumstance and an actual physical ribbon cutting ceremony, but more importantly is to let all of the people that might attend walk through, see our investment.
Yeah, that's going to be
see
so
what it looks
great.
like, see the brand, see the logos, see the imagery, doctors, practitioners. I mean, hopefully we even have some of the Medix Health stuff there already. You know, who knows? It might be too soon, but you know, we've got
Doing
that
some
pilot
scans,
coming,
doing
right?
some free scans for everybody.
The teledermatology scans. You know, we committed on that a few months back that we're going to put them in 3 locations that open up. Brown's Line is one of the identified locations. So we're looking forward to having Mike and the Medix Health team there if we can. But even if
The doctors, right?
Doctors will be there. So Dr. Jordan and Dr. Aviv, you know, who are leading all of this for us.
Who a lot of us only know through press releases and their names, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
if I ran to them in this hallway, and by the way, they're not in this hallway, unless I wouldn't know who they were.
Yeah, but
even
if
me.
you shook their hand, you'll never forget them.
Yeah, that's why I think it's so important. Everyone's got to be there.
That's
right?
the key.
Because
these guys are doing exactly what we hoped that they would be able to do, and they far out surpassed it, quite frankly. And they're an integral part to our leadership team, to our path going forward. They're great team members. They're helping build a culture. And you know what's interesting that's going on right now? So, you know, we're building, you know, the public company, the Empower Clinics corporate layer, but there are brands being built as divisions. So the Medi Collective is becoming a very exciting division. They're building their own culture that matches the culture of what I want to see in our public company. And you know, we want to attract the right people, the right partners, and I think we do a pretty good job of it.
Well, the care you guys put into the branding side, is something that only the best of the best companies do. Everybody else says, get a sign, throw it up on a wall, and let's just start doing business, and we'll figure out culture, we'll figure out brand, we'll figure out how we're going to do this later. Whereas we have to pre-plan for the future company that we want to be. It doesn't work. You can't just show up all of a sudden and go, oh, I've got a culture, I've got a brand, I've got this. You've got to be thoughtful about where you're going. So if we actually want to be an uplisted big player healthcare company, we've got to start living that now.
Now, and we have gaps that we have to fill. We're, like every organization, we're developing and we're on a rapid growth curve. So I'm,
Yeah,
bad at
but
filling.
Google's got gaps right now. Let's
Right. Right.
gaps is not
Yeah,
the
so
concern.
we
It's
just have
that
to
you're-
recognize that, and we do that, and we're doing that work. But at the same time, you go back to the brand. We worked so hard behind the scenes to figure out what our national brand and what, frankly, George, in my opinion, now is going to become a North American and potentially international brand.
International? It's the first time we're hearing international out of you.
Think about it. I mean, I'm not jumping out of our markets. We've got huge markets in North America to serve. But I absolutely think of this as where could we be in the future down the road with our brand. So coming up with trademarks, trade names, something as simple as a domain name that you can own and can build upon. We did all the trademark work. We filed all those trademarks because you should do that if you're trying to build a national brand that won't get sort of knocked down. And I think that...
And that's really important, by the way, from when you start talking to the big boys, when you start talking about uplisting, they want to see that if you don't have that all lined up, they're going to say, okay, why don't you go line that up and come back to us in 6-9 months.
You can't. I mean, that's...
And then you lose, and then they realize, you're just another guy who just threw a shingle up, and you're trying to uplist.
Yeah, but that doesn't work. That's short-sighted. I've been around too long on this stuff.
But a lot of investors at home don't realize that. They don't realize how important it was. It wasn't just putting together a great brand. By the way, I love the logo. I am in love with the logo.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I absolutely love that. But it was more than just put together some great artwork and make it look fancy.
No. This is the culmination of...
It's part of the Steve, how as CEO, how you're always thinking 12 months ahead. I better
12?
have this.
Oh my gosh. I'm not thinking 12 months ahead. I'm thinking years ahead.
All right.
12 months is I can see...
Here and gone.
Yeah, 12 months, I can map that out in a split second. It's... What does this look like 3 and 5 years down the road?
Okay,
10
well,
years down
you
the road?
asked, what does it look
Right.
like? What does it look like 3 and 5 years down the
Well,
road?
it looks like a diversified healthcare company that is uplisted on big markets. It has, whatever, market cap it might have. But I think most importantly, it's serving patients. We have many millions of patients on our roster. We have many great employees. We are doing incredible things in R&D. We're bringing new healthcare solutions to market. We have an absolute leading technology layer. I mean, technology in healthcare is evolving so rapidly, and we're investing in it. I've got side projects that
You said AI earlier.
Yes. Well, I've got side projects.
Can you give us a touch of that?
Sure.
Where's AI going? Where's AI going with Empower?
You know where AI is going. I'll give you a perfunctory view of it. Is Biden administration in last May putting in legislation that says you, as a medical device company that has Bluetooth capability, so IoT, now own more responsibility for healthcare data. So it's why the announcement, I think last week or the week before, of solvable solutions is we better start being the most progressive on matters related to cybersecurity and safety of patient data. Because
so that's where it came from.
That's where it came from. The backdrop was this is going to become much more significant going forward. We've just acquired Medisure. They're a medical device company. All the next versions of the Medisure products are all Bluetooth IoT capable. They've got CGMs coming to market.
And they probably would have known that, but they would. That's an example of they wouldn't have had the resources or the time to think that through. And it might have actually led to their business becoming, over time, a little more irrelevant.
Correct.
Versus now they get supercharged.
The challenge for Medisure was not their capability or their knowledge base. It's quite the opposite. One of the biggest things that came out of due diligence was recognizing that their R&D knowledge base capability was far greater than was even on the surface. It was kind of what happened with Kai. They had the lab and all the equipment and the scientists, but when you really dug into the due diligence, what you realized was that the nugget for the future was the R&D capability. So MediSure is kind of similar, and we're already seeing it. We're already seeing them diversify into other potential product sets that are not diabetes. Now, not losing track of diabetes and what it means, because they've got some great products coming, but they take time to go to market, and we want them to be in the US. So that means we're on an FDA path. But that's going to take time, and it takes investment. Mario and team absolutely know what it takes to get registered with the FDA and have their product set in the US, but it takes capital, and it takes people and expertise, which means capital.
And it takes, going back to how we started this conversation, it takes a core. In other words, if it's just a bunch of independent divisions operating, guys go out and make as much money as you can, report to me at the end of the year, that's not nearly anywhere near as efficient or powerful as, all right, Empower is at the core, and all of this is intertwined, and I think people are starting to see it now.
Yeah, I
right?
think
it's still not obvious to everybody, but it's certainly becoming a lot clearer and clearer.
Well, then I think part of it is, my job. What we're doing right now is to actually just talk about it more. Have more town halls, do
face-to-face ribbon cuttings where everyone's going to be there.
Face-to-face ribbon cuttings, or do Facebook Lives, do Agoracom Lives, because this is Agoracom Live, and just have a town hall conversation about what we're doing. And I have to be respectful of guidelines and guidance and all those other things, but I can certainly articulate what we've done and why, and I can certainly articulate my vision of
and connect
where
the dots.
I think we're going. If you go here, and you step back from it, and I can articulate it in a relatively simple manner, is that this is why we have these kind of goalposts and this solid base of pharmacy, technology, EMR, telemedicine, AI, to be the foundation for healthcare delivery in the future, because that's literally what's happening. We're living this right now as part of this new pandemic world that we all share.
Devil's advocate, because I always like to challenge you on stuff, right?
Sure.
Which is, what gives you why should shareholders think, or why should shareholders have the confidence that you can pull this off when I've got to presume there are others who are looking to pull off the same thing?
Sure. We have a comp set, there's no doubt. We follow the comp set so closely.
By the way, for everyone at home, comp set, comparables,
Yeah,
right?
comparables.
Comparable set of companies.
And other companies, the sector, we research it constantly. We look for opportunities. What's the next interesting thing? And
what are you doing better than those guys?
My belief,
of course,
is execution. I feel like if there's a theme that's going on with what I want from leadership and from the leaders that I have in our organization, is execution. Is that we do the hard work, we figure out how to work smarter every day.
Are the others failing on execution, or is it that they're just trying to buy the market and that's not really executing? You're just trying to use capital to buy the market versus you guys are building the market?
So I think that there is a thesis that says you could use capital to buy market, but integration of companies into other companies is very difficult. So one has to be very careful about this. Like you buy a company, you have to audit the company, you have to try to create a culture. I've seen organizations at the highest level, in the GE worlds, in my Penske times, where integration didn't necessarily go that well.
Yeah, it sounds good on paper.
Yeah, and then you're 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, and you're in fix-up mode, or you're selling off a mode because culturally you couldn't get it together.
Ask Time Warner.
Right.
Ask Time Warner guys who spent billions and billions on stuff, and then end up selling it off later.
Right. So I want to be somewhat thoughtful about our use of capital, and I understand going fast, but you've also got to be very cognizant of being wasteful. and I just don't want to be that person. I think we could find a balance of speed. We've got a really good organic growth model with TMC, and now with the Medi Collective, we're going to invest in them. Kai has his own organic growth model, and that has nothing to do.
And yet still it's tied to the clinics who have the pharmacy relationships.
All linked.
That's the great, that's, you know,
They're all linked.
There might have been time a while ago where people were thinking, okay, there's a clinic over there, and now there's this Medisure, this medical device company, and there's some clinics over here, and together they just kind of make a company. But now you're connecting the dots,
No,
right?
I mean,
now you're really
think
connecting the
about,
dots.
you know, think about the COVID world that we're in, and Kai's got all the COVID testing opportunities and future go-to-market direct-to-consumer health testing products. We've brought Kai Care to Canada. We have a corporation in Canada called Kai Canada Corp. And we're selling our test kits and rapid test kits every day. Every day we're swiping credit cards and receiving checks. I've got checks in my pocket right now from pharmacies that have just sent us checks and we're selling rapid test kits to them. And I haven't even deposited them in the bank yet. And so...
I'm going to follow Steve home after this is done.
So Medisure, you know, all of a sudden comes in, and Medisure becomes a new catalyst to give us better capability in Canada, particularly in the regulatory framework. It gives us warehousing. It gives us distribution. They're a 3PL shop already.
Explain to people what 3PL is.
3PL is a shipment and fulfillment capability. It's an acronym for shipping. So they can ship, distribute, warehouse,
ship it, distribute, all that. Yeah.
Product. So, you know, that as we looked at them was like, well, all of a sudden that gives us complete infrastructure for Canada that we didn't have, because in the U.S. through Kai we had that, but we had none of that infrastructure in Canada. Well,
Canada's just lighting up, like Canada's about to be lit up, right?
Now we have it. So you've got this segment in Medisure that has now an opportunity to be much more than it originally was, but still on the same great brand, right? So we de-risk a dependency on diabetes. We grow diabetes like crazy, but we also diversify them without getting out on tangents because they already have all that capability.
Yeah, and because they're not meta diabetes, they're Medisure.
No, they're Medisure.
A medical device.
They're a medical
company.
device
company. And sometimes companies I've seen my own family where you just get single focused on one vertical and you stay there for the rest of your life.
Correct. So this was the opportunity with Mario and team to take a step back with added capital, without the restrictions. Obviously, you know, rules and be very thoughtful about where we go, but let's go. Let's diversify your capability, but within your framework of strength. So we've added employees, we've added different product sets already that we're working on bringing to market in different sectors, but they're all medical device products that fall under their MDELs and their MDALs. And then, you know, our goal is obviously to get them to the U.S. with, you know, FDA, but we have FDA experts on staff already. We've got our, you know, people in the U.S. that are already in that realm. It's amazing how much of our conversation has been keeps coming back to Medisure, and people don't realize how big of a role Medisure. Oh, they're going to be exciting. I am more optimistic today, whatever we are, October 3rd or 4th, than when we closed 90 days ago. And then the 90 days before that, when we were going through due diligence. And I think that's great because we all focus on the clinics so much. And by the way, I'm still focusing on. Oh, the clinics are outstanding. Yeah, I mean, like it's going to be such an incredible brand, you know, in Canada. I think it's going to be a legacy for all of us, frankly, because it will be with our society for decades. And so I think there's ultimately going to be a lot of pride in that going forward. And then, you know, we kind of started off on Medisure, and that was the Care Group of Pharmacies announcement. And it's just one catalyst of many that are coming. And that's just another pharmacy group. It's amazing. All these pharmacy groups, in one way or another, are getting involved with Empower, right? Either at the clinic level
or now at the distribution level, the product level.
Well,
right, and it seems like it's just beginning. It seems like there's still so much more to go in terms of what you're going to be able to do with, and that's because you've taken the philosophy that you want to be friends with the pharmacies. You don't want to work against them. You don't want to be new competition. You're not trying to be a big conglomerate that try and
going to take over them.
Take over them.
No, I just...
You're saying, guys, you do what you do. I'm going to augment and supercharge you guys.
We think alignment is the right way to go. We really do. It's a wonderful industry, and the more time that I spend talking to, like as an example, Annette Robinson we brought on as our first member of our strategic advisory group. You know, she's the president of the BC Pharmacy Association. She sits on the Canadian Pharmacy Association. She's had a tremendous career with Rexall, with PharmaSave, and others, and she's already proving to help us because she's educating us. Like, we're getting better at the pharmacy game because we're not in the, you know, we're not pharmacists per se.
But one of your competitors, I won't talk about who, has actually taken the opposite approach, which is we're going to try and be that mass conglomerate, including be the pharmacist.
Yeah.
And that's left a gaping hole open for you guys to fill, right?
I mean, maybe. I mean, I again, you know, everybody can make their own choice on how to run things. What I've experienced, you know, in this short time in 2021 is such an acceleration of adoption and connection to our public company and where we're going.
And it shows. Look at who's partnering with us on the clinic side now, right?
Oh,
how many different you name them off.
Well, yeah, we got, you know, obviously we're at this ribbon cutting ceremony coming up on the 18th that sits on top of Rexall, and there's others coming. We got you know, Pharma Choice, PharmaSave, Save on Foods, IDA, Care Group. You know, these guys.
I mean, that's unbelievable. Think about that, guys. I mean, but you're not faking it. This isn't somebody talking a big game and saying this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to position ourselves in the market. You've got the. Are there any pharmacy groups we're not working with? I guess there are some regional ones like in Quebec and things like that.
There are of course. There's other tremendous brands in Canada like Shoppers and Jean Coutu in Quebec and London Drugs out west, and you know, we continue to talk to these groups also on various levels.
Here we'll have a beautiful backdrop behind us to end it.
Yeah.
Because kind of give that, you know, that feel that we're going to be celebrating on the 18th.
Well, I mean, the 18th, I'm really looking forward to. I just want, I want to be there. I want to meet our shareholders. I want to just see the kind of the culmination. I want everybody to see our signage and our brands, and just spend some time together.
Make sure you guys are out. You gotta come out
and literally do some photo ops and cut some ribbons and go here. You know, this is the result of our time and effort, our investment, and this is, well, we're opening 5 more between now and the end of the year. You know, so what are we? Brown's Line. I think we've got Kitchener,
Lakeshore.
London, Mississauga, and then we have another flagship location in Etobicoke that we call Lakeshore.
Yep.
It's right on Lakeshore Drive, and it's like literally like every 2 to 2.5 weeks from now, all the way through the end of the year, and that doesn't even get us to our 2022 pipeline that I'll share later. But it's just we're in this rhythm of clinic signing leases, architecture, attendance improvements, clinic opening, doctors seeing patients.
And seeing is believing, right? Talk is talk, and then the walk is the walk, and seeing is believing. And I'm glad we found you here at the Royal York. All right. Okay, I didn't exactly run into him at the Royal York, but you get the idea. But guys, you see how Steve is so transparent. He's the best guy. He's going to be in there on the 18th. He's going to show the brand. He's going to show everything. Make sure you're there so you can experience it. All kidding aside, it's not just because it's going to be fun, but even for me,
that's a milestone.
I haven't seen an entire operation set up, so I want to see it, and seeing is believing. And thanks for joining us, Steve. Have a great few days here in Toronto.
All right, thanks to all the followers of AgoraComp. Much appreciated.